Hello, and welcome to part 2 of the history of the First Crusade. There's no ice in here. I'm just drinking Fireball. When last we met our noble Crusaders, they were outside the city of Antioch. The crusading army is feeling great. They won in Nicaea. Boy, that was unlikely. They kind of, their energy level, if it was a video game, was all up to green. Boy, they gotta get Antioch. Very important. For supplies and strategic access to things, they gotta do it. They're outside the gates of Antioch for 8 months. Good news, completely cut off the supplies of the people inside. It was a waiting game. Aha. Problem is they had cut off the supply of food and water for themselves also. So there sit the crusading army of, again, numbers vary, 30, 40,000 maybe? Just starving and sick and dying. And inside is a civilian and military population of Muslims and Christians who are also starving and dying. One of our French knights says to the kind of last remaining Constantinople Christians, you guys should go. This is taking forever. And they're so hungry. And you know what also? I think somebody's trying to kill you. I were you? I'd get out while the getting was good. So they leave. Then this knight says to the guys, did you see that? Those guys left. Those rotten East Orthodox Christians just took up. You know what that means? We don't have to behold our oaths anymore. They're not going to fight. That means that we don't have to honor the oath we made about all their stuff we're going to capture from here on out belongs to them. And the knights were like, all right, whatever. And then he was, looks like I'm in charge now. Also kind of like, oh, what? Okay. And he's like, and good news. He had bribed someone after 8 months, finally, somebody inside the city who happened to run a garrison to leave a gate open and to let them in. I know, always a traitor at the heart of it, or a hero. History always rewrites these things. So depending on how you feel, I suppose. Dude opens the gate. They run into the city of Antioch and they kill slaughter. Just a bloodbath. But then, the doors close, the Muslim reinforcements show up, and all of a sudden the crusading army, who had just run into Antioch and crazy were victorious, are like, we did it! Oh no, we had just spent 8 months making sure that no food or water came in here. Now the gates are closed, we can't get out. Shit! And the army outside is mean. These Seljuk Turks, woo! They is mean. They ride horses and they cut you clean in half. Fuck. So they hunker down and they just sit in there and starve. So then, oh my God, this is my favorite. This is, if you want to know the truth, this is my favorite part. Out of the blue, I like to imagine everyone's just kind of draped over the furniture, slowly dying. A guy that we have not heard from before in this story, an obscure preacher named Peter Bartholomew, asks for an audience with whoever's in charge, and he's like, guess what? I had a vision. You guys aren't gonna believe this. And the vision was that the lance, the holy lance that pierced the side of Christ as he hung dying on the cross, is buried under the floor of the citadel over there. I know. So they're like, okay, go get it. So apparently, again, keep in mind, I know these things because of what people wrote. Historians write about it later in letters and accounts and diaries, things that historians better than myself have pieced together over time. But by those accounts, what happened next was Peter Bartholomew goes there, starts digging up the floor with a bunch of guys. And then they cut back and they're like, we only want 13 guys in here. So everyone else leaves and it's just because they're the most devout and they're going to pray and they're going to help. And then those guys go and it's just a few. And then Peter Bartholomew himself, alone, but with God, gets into the hole that they have dug. And what do you know? He finds the darn thing. It's the Holy Lance! So, I know, my sarcasm is probably transparent. There was no immediate doubt about the validity of what had just happened, to the point where, friends, the crusading army starving, dying for months and months and months, almost like a long time. So get up and charge. They run out the front gate of this Antioch fortress city wall, and they attack the Seljuk, the Turk with the scariest guys on earth. And they win. I know. They win. And historians, I mean, secular, there's a reason why this stuff is like, oh, it was obviously a miracle. In fact, the guys, when they were asked, like, how do you account for this victory? Because we know unequivocally, there's no doubt, that is exactly what happened. The Muslim accounts say that, their journals, their entries, their war logs say they fucking charged us and won. I know, everybody, that's what happened. So then, you know, historians and religious figures are left to be like, why? How? And the Crusaders said, of course, it was God. And they felt a team of angels. And they saw dead, they saw dead colleagues. Hello, Game of Thrones. And Lord of the Rings, remember the dead guys? Save the day. Some military historians have said, well, the Turks still didn't expect, they had the element of surprise, that's for sure. And somebody said the general of that particular legion was like, his mistake was he waited for them all to come out. He saw them coming, he was gonna like kill them as they came out, but he didn't want them to like close the gate and go back in and prolong this whole thing. So he like waited for them all to come out. And here's the thing, knights, European knights at this time have like one great military move. So you kind of see in like the Renaissance festival shows where they hold the lance tight under the thing, and if they can charge at you with these things tucked under their arm and their armor on, and then you're kind of toast. And that's what they did. They just came out, ran at him, fucking won. Anyway, so this guy, Peter Bartholomew, is fucking Elvis, you know? I got the lance. We won the day. I got the lance. And everyone's like, yeah, that was amazing. But you heard the story. Here's the thing. Yeah, I said they believed, like the medieval zealot believed, but they weren't idiots. That would be a mischaracterization. That would be unfair and also just inaccurate. They weren't idiots. They were devout, and they had suspicion and scruples. This whole Peter Bartholomew thing with the lance. And also because Peter Bartholomew was like, you know what else the lance said? We should just stay here and not go to Jerusalem. And they challenge it so much that Peter Bartholomew goes, oh, really? You don't think this whole lance thing is real? Well, why don't you guys go ahead and build a fire? I'm going to walk through it. I'm going to come out unscathed. I'm going to be alive and in perfect health. And then y'all are going to know about my lance. And everyone was like, really? That's extreme. And he was like, yeah, no, listen, you have to be like, his lance isn't real. He didn't really do this. Let's try it. And it's not funny. I'm not mocking. So Peter Bartholomew looks at the fire, walks into it, and he dies. I mean, not actually, more complex than that. He dies. He burns and he dies. But even so, even with the story exactly as I've told you, there were some accounts where people were like, nah, here's what happened though. He came out the other side fine. And people were so blown away and so impressed and like, holy Hannah, that they ran at him and they crushed him to death. But he died. He burned up and he died. And we don't hear about the lance anymore. So, tough break, Peter Bartholomew. All the same, Antioch has been won. And the Crusaders now can go on. There's a few other battles. You have to know I want to tell you the whole thing, every word. In fact, the next city that they get to is Durelium. But I'm not going to do that. Because this is the end of part 2. In part 3, we get to the stunning conclusion of the First Crusade.